Be here. Those joining us by Zoom. Our national anthem will be led by Arthur Gardner, Cal Whaley, and Art Morrison present the flag.
Join me, please, as we say. So proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleam, with flashlights and bright stars through the perilous night. All around us we watch, were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets red flare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, save us as our spangled banner yet waving, o'er the land and the sea, and the home of the free. Join me in the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jason Rudd, your invocation.
We pray with me. Dear Lord, we love you. We thank you for this day. We thank you for each member of this Rotary Club and the service that we're able to do for this community. Bless food and nourishment of our bodies and our bodies to that service. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, Kelly Clyde will talk about family Rotary.
All right, we have just a couple of birthdays and anniversaries. July 18th, no, I'm sorry, July 20th, today's the 18th. July 20th, Demetrius Bogan, and July 24th, Jenny Logan. So happy birthday to those two. Anniversaries, July 18th, Shane Sinkfield and Christina, and July 19th, Wes Grant and Tara.
Thank you. Paul Swanson will introduce our guests and visiting Rotary.
All right, hello everybody. We got an easy one today. We got Linda Payton, guest of Bill Sheely. Do you want to stand as I call out your name? All right, and then we got Rick Chapman, guest of Arthur Gardner. All right.
Thank you. Catherine, if you would bring our camp basket drawing up. $301 points. Thank you. Last four digits, 6551.
Yay.
Oh, thank you, man.
You picked two.
I'll give you the bottom.
There were two of the wrong ones, so we're just gonna pick one. They're both wrong, so let's just throw one out. Next time.
The
I
ace
truly
is
thought
on.
he'd pick the right one.
I wanted to kind of share my vision for this Rotary year at the President-elect's training. They said, make it your year. So I just wanted to share 3 words, and these were in the newsletter, that I would love to represent this year when we get to the end of the year, to look back and say those represented this club well. The first is growth. The human spirit loves to be involved in something that is growing. We can probably all remember when we started a new exercise program or a diet or something, and how good that felt. And that's because we love to make progress and we love to grow. I come from a marketing background. In this club, we have, in the last 2 years, brought in 14 or 15 new members. And that seems to be what it takes for us to stay about even with our membership. But over time, over the last 20 years, at one time, we were almost 200 members. And you all know the definition of insanity, continuing to do the same things and expecting different results. Well, one of the things they talked about at president-elect training was membership. And we've always had one person who was in charge of membership. They recommended that we have 10% of the club on the membership committee, which sounds like a great idea to me. So our membership committee is membership chair is putting together a 10-person committee, not quite 10%. And I think we can bring in 25 new people in here, which net us 10. And I would like to challenge this club. I remember President Kennedy, when I was a small child, challenging America to go to the moon by the end of the decade. I think we just need to challenge ourselves by the year 2030 to be in a membership of 200. I just think that will work. So that's the growth part. The engagement. During the last 10 years, Jennifer Jones is a Rotary International president. And she mentioned an interesting statistic. She said in the last 10 years, Rotary has brought in 1.2 million new members. And we have 1.2 million members. So she said, what we have is an engagement problem. I'm perhaps a good example. I was in Rotary for 25 years before I was ever asked to do anything. Now, I don't know if that's a reflection of me or if that's just the way it is. I've asked a few people to do things since becoming president, and I've just been pleasantly surprised at how willing people are to participate. Margaret took on the newsletter. Ben Slingel did that for many years, and Margaret just jumped in with both feet. It's come off without a hitch. So we're putting together a 5-member engagement committee whose job it will be to help members of the club become a tad more engaged. I think that can only help with membership. And then, so the 3 words are growth, engagement, and value. The value that Rotary brings is, the more you dig into it, it's just amazing. Just to think that Rotary is in charge of polio eradication for the planet, and in 2 years they expect to have eradicated polio. Only the second time in the history of mankind that that's been done. And then just the many other things. The value that being a member of this club has, when you look back at our history, I mean, goodness gracious, we're over 100 years old. I've got a good buddy neighbor that's worked with IBM, been in 4 different Rotary clubs around the country. He said most of them were 30 to 40 members. And some of these were in large cities. So the more you look at our club, it's amazing. This campus, the 95 or so people, Paul, that you guys employ, it's just, I was talking with my friend about this, and he said he'd never heard of a Rotary club anywhere that has that kind of heritage.
Make that 200 employees.
Well, there you go. Thank you. Appreciate that. So I think maybe we don't need to bring value. Maybe we just need to recognize the value. I know some days I wake up and I have to remind myself why I'm here. So I just need constant reminding. And we've all heard the starfish story, guy walking along the beach and the tide had brought in thousands and thousands of starfish. And he was walking along the shore, tossing a few out. The person came up and said, why are you doing this? You can't possibly make a difference. He picked up a starfish, and tossed it out into the ocean and said, I made a difference for that one. And that's all we can do, is on a day-by-day basis, just try to make a difference. So I'll be talking more about this in the time to come, and thank you for your listening on that. Rick Reichert will introduce our speaker.
I'd like to introduce Katie Holland. I'm filling in for Josh today. Sent me a little text last night, so keep Josh in your prayers and his family. I think he tested for, he probably might be patting me on the back for not supposed to be telling you, but he tested positive for COVID. So he's stay away from Josh's house. Katie Holland is a 1992 graduate of Auburn University School of Business with a degree in marketing, War Eagle. She is married to Bill Holland, and they have 2 daughters, both are Auburn graduates. After serving in the youth ministry for over 20 years, and then as director of older adult ministries at First United Methodist Church, Katie's own journey with her father and Alzheimer's disease led her to start Respite Care Ministry. She currently serves as director of this growing ministry, which is now in its 6th year serving those living with memory loss and the ones that care for them. Katie is a positive approach to care certified independent trainer and has completed training in the Montessori, excuse my pronunciation, inspired lifestyle with Dr. Cameron Camp and the Center for Applied Research and Dementia. Katie?
Thank y'all so much for having me. Can you hear me? Well, okay. That's one of the things my dad said when I got married 30 years ago. He said, if I'm going to pay for this whole wedding, I better be able to hear it. So if there's a microphone, you better speak up. So my dad was a member of this Rotary group. He loved being a part of this Rotary group. I can remember coming to lunch when Santa Claus was here. He would bring me to have lunch with Rotary. I can remember beautiful gifts he would bring me from the White Elephant auction. And as a teenager, I can remember serving and helping at the Rotary Ball when I was in high school. Y'all do so many amazing things for this community, and I just thank you. Thank you for having me today. The last time I was here, it was 6 years ago. We were just talking about starting the Respite Care Ministry. So George Flowers, you can remember we were both trying so hard at that same time. George was getting things going at the harbor, and I was at the same time doing all I could to get this ministry off the ground. So when I was before you the last time, I was telling you about a vision and telling you about the things that we hoped to do and the dreams that we had for people living with dementia in our community. And so today I have a story to tell. We're 6 years in, and it's an amazing ministry in our community. I'm so proud to be part of it and to share it with you. I want to show you a little video first. Someone in our community had heard about this ministry. He said, can I come follow you one day and just put this on my website and let people see what you do? And I said, sure. So I think it's a wonderful video, and a picture is worth 1,000 words. My name is Katie Holland, and I am the director of Respite Care Ministry. Respite Care is a ministry that was created for the caregiver of loved ones with dementia. So it can be any kind of dementia, from a stroke, Alzheimer's, it can be any sort of memory impairment. So our program is created just for those who are suffering with memory loss. So everything we do, every project, every activity is designed around someone who is suffering with memory loss. Respite care is a break for the caregivers. It was created for the caregiver. They come here and drop off their loved one for 4 hours with us. So we do art and music, exercise, cognitive games, pet therapy, we have a family style lunch together. And we just have community. And so the caregiver gets a 4-hour break while we're here having fun and loving on their loved one. We love to do community service. So every month we do bags for the food bank, for the Wiregrass Food Bank. We'll paint or color bags with a message of inspiration or encouragement for people who are receiving the bags. For us, it's an activity of purpose because we like for them to have purpose and meaning while they're here with us. We do things for the Humane Society. We'll package doggy treat bags for them. We've done caregiver packages for people who have cancer, for chemotherapy care packages for patients and their caregiver for those things as well. So we're always trying to do things for other people. We'll do art and we'll sing together and we'll do exercise. We'll do lots of different kinds of activities. There's variety. So the day looks a little bit like a school day. When they arrive at 10 o'clock, their loved one drops them off. We come out and greet them. We have kind of just a coffee shop time in the morning. And then we do just sort of just a project like a puzzle, icebreaker kind of project. Then we move on to our devotion. And then we will do cognitive times. It's just a time to stretch your mind, do some activities around thinking differently, thinking different ways. We'll do exercise after that, move our body after we moved our minds. We'll do music after that. Music we have found is so important for people who are living with memory loss, that music and rhythm stays intact until the very end. So we always have music every day. We'll have a family style lunch together. We play balloon volleyball after lunch every day. They love it. And then the afternoon is usually pet therapy, sing along, we'll read together. Sometimes we'll do poetry or game. So it's kind of my wild card time. We just mix it up in the afternoon. The community can help in so many ways. We always need volunteers. We always need men and women. So we have several men that come to our program and they like to be with men. So we need volunteers. We do a training for the volunteers. So you don't just have to show up not knowing what you're doing. We do a special training. All of our volunteers are trained. So we always could use your help in so many ways as far as volunteering. The funding, oh gosh, we have a scholarship program. So we could always, those gifts of generosity go so many different places at Respite Care Ministry. We do offer scholarship programs for those who can't afford the fee. It does cost $40 a day to come to Respite Care Ministry. So we have, to do that, it's excellent care. So that comes at a cost. So, but we don't ever want to tell anyone they can't come that needs this program. So we do have a scholarship program. So you can help there. You can help give many ways. And we always are buying art supplies and project supplies. And so there's so many ways you could help there. We do a training once a month. So if you are thinking of volunteering, I do a training the second Wednesday of every month. So that's something that's on your radar. We have a training coming around the corner. Well, it is a community ministry, so it's not just First United Methodist Church here. Although it's housed in First United Methodist Church, we have 19 different churches that participate, volunteering, and for the caregivers and the participants. So everyone is welcome here. So you do not have to attend church to come here. It is from 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock. It is 4 hours. The caregiver, like I said, you just call us, set up a time to come visit. We always invite you to come visit for a day and just check it out and just see if this is something that is for you, if it's a fit for you. So we always invite you to do that. It's very easy to get in the doors here. We always recommend it for early stages, mid stages of dementia. The earlier they come, the better. The sooner you get your loved one involved with community, the better. It's just, it's good to be loved by others. It's good to be with others. We need each other. The volunteers benefit as much as the participant, as much as the caregiver. We were surprised. We did create this for the caregiver. This was made for the caregiver, but we found the participants thriving when they're here as well. They enjoy being with people. They enjoy meaningful, purposeful projects, and the volunteer walks away full. It's a very meaningful volunteer opportunity. So,
Hey, let me
turn that
back
hello. Okay. So Jerry, had you seen that video?
No, I
Wasn't it good?
just saw it in real life.
You see it in real life. So I see out in the crowd, I see several volunteers here with us today. So if you are a volunteer with Respite Care Ministry, do you mind standing so your group can see who you are, and you can Bo in the back and Arthur's up front. So you want to know more about this opportunity, you can ask the two of them. And Jerry Wade, Jerry has a sweet participant in our program. So if you want to know more about what it's actually like to be a participant in the program, Jerry probably could answer lots of questions for you. I did put on your tables a flyer that has the date and the times and the room numbers for our volunteer training and caregiver training. And then it also has support group on it. So if you would take that to your business or your church or wherever you go that they might need to know this information. I do a training once a month, and we just started inviting our caregivers and any caregiver really in the community to the training that I do, because we realize this training and what we do at Respite Care is very helpful for the caregiver at home. So I offer that once a month. If you know of a caregiver that can learn just the basics of how to interact better with their loved one with dementia, it will change the journey. It will change the course of this journey for them. The video has all the top 10 questions that people usually ask me. Is there a fee? How do you get involved? What do you do? I just felt like seeing the video, you have an inside view of really what the day looks like. It's a very special program. We do have over 100 volunteers. So I use every single volunteer that comes through the door. We have 4 days a week of programming. That's Monday through Thursday that we are open. We started with 4 participants, 2 days a week, and we pre-pandemic were 4 days a week with 15 participants a day with a waiting list. So post-pandemic, we've had to rebuild. We had to start over again, basically with 4 more participants again, but we are right back up to almost full again. So I use about 15 volunteers a day. So that's a lot of volunteers by the time you run through a month of programming. So I make it very flexible. If you sign up to volunteer, you can volunteer once a month. You can come the 3rd Wednesday of every month if that works for you. And I have some who like to come once a week, some who like to come twice a week. So it's very, very flexible. I don't make you find your own sub. We handle that for you. So it's very easy to get involved with us. There is a need for volunteers. If you ever think there's something that you'd like to do and you want to have a lot of fun, you need to call me because it's a very special volunteer experience. Any questions so far? Okay. Let's see. We do offer now, we've been so thankful to be able to offer really big names in dementia care that come to Dothan for a workshop. So the last lady we flew in, her name was Elaine Sanchez, and she flew in from Oregon, and she did a fantastic conference for over 100 caregivers in our community, and they were not all involved with respite care, just some involved. Some were our volunteer caregivers and some from out in the community who had nothing to do with our program. We were able to fly her here, do the conference, and offer it free to all the caregivers in the community. So, that's one of the things that we do in addition to our daily programming. We also have a choir. I don't know, has anybody heard of the Heart to Heart Choir? All right, well, we've only performed twice. We started right before the pandemic. We had a Christmas performance and we had over 65 people in the choir. This is a choir for people who have dementia and their family members and their loved ones. It is so hard to find things to do with your loved one when they have dementia. It's hard to find an outing. It's hard to find anywhere you can go where you feel like people understand what's happening. This is just an outing for them to come and enjoy their time together. We provide the music. John Mark Wilson is our director, and David Payne accompanies him each Wednesday afternoon. We'll start back again in September, and we'll do an hour choir rehearsal. And you don't have to be enrolled in respite care to come and join our dementia choir. It is so much fun, and the people who come and watch us enjoy it so much. There's some freedom up there, you know, that they're uninhibited. You know, the music starts moving, and you just never know what's going to happen after that, and we just let it happen. So that's something I'm very proud of that we've been able to create for our community as a dementia-friendly choir. Our next performance will be in November. So we'll start rehearsals in September and have another performance in November. So y'all keep that on your radar as well. Gosh, there's so much to tell. We have also a house, and that our church has so graciously given us access to the property behind our churches. We called it Mama Howell's house forever, but it will be a dementia caregiver center, an outreach center that we're getting ready to start renovations on. Dothan is a big town, and we just have found what we are doing is better than what we had, which was basically nothing for programming in our community for families with dementia, but we need more. We need a lot more. This by 2030, the numbers are increasing, just staggeringly increasing. And so the numbers are 1 in 2 over the age of 85 will have dementia. 1 in 2. If you are not one with dementia, you will be a caregiver. You're going to be one or the other. So, you know, there is a need to have quality, amazing life and programming for our community members that have done so much for this community. There needs to be something in place for them. And y'all are so community minded. I know you understand that. One of the things I really have a vision for Dothan is a dementia friendly Dothan. There are many communities that have embraced that. I would love for Rotary to be a dementia-friendly Rotary. This is an every Monday occurrence. It's something that's in your fabric. It's something that's in a rhythm of your life, and the rhythms of your life stay intact till the very end. So there are ways you can get trained and invite those who might progress on to have dementia later, who are very involved in your program, to let them still continue to have lunch with you on Mondays. I know there were several of you who would bring my dad to Rotary when he was developing and getting on in the stages. He would still enjoy coming to Rotary and just enjoying lunch with you all. So I feel like if you had just a little bit of training too, y'all would really know how to embrace that well and just invite them into community. One of the things I feel so fortunate to be a part of with this, respite care here in Dothan was the 4th respite care in the Southeast. It was the fourth one in this entire area. There are 23 of us now. So the need is great, and so we can't get them open fast enough. You know, anyone, there's one in Eufaula now. So anyone who's remotely close to me that needs a respite care in their area, the director in Montgomery is doing a phenomenal job of getting people trained and going. And then I usually will help anyone close to me come watch us, come see what we're doing, and get them up and going, because it's a game changer for your community. It's especially for the life of our church. We had great ministry for traveling and for socializing, and great ministry for our 50 forward adults, but we did not have any hands-on, meaningful, just boots on the ground ministry for our older adults to be involved in. And so this is a game changer for us, for our volunteers. It has really filled them in so many ways to walk alongside someone who's living with memory loss. And to realize that, life in the moment is pretty amazing. A lot of you own businesses, work in stressful jobs. One of the things that I tell the caregivers and when I do a training is that meditation is important. De-stressing and managing your stress is important in trying to not develop dementia. It's one of those things along with diet and exercise, but mindfulness, when you are in a state of mindfulness, which is what we do at Respite here, 4 hours a day, we are in the moment doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing, which is what's right in front of us. So when you're in a state of mindfulness, you're not in a state of forgetfulness. And that's a real thing. Just think about that for a minute. When you're in a state of mindfulness, you can't be in a state of forgetfulness. So everything we do there has purpose. Everything we do with them and for them is for their well-being, to create community, to give their caregivers hope. Who in here has been affected by a dementia diagnosis? Family member. So normally when you get that news, you immediately think it's fear. It's fear and just fear and trepidation. I mean, you just really think, okay, this is not good. But really what we're learning is we're on the forefront of learning so much about dementia. It's like when wheelchair ramps were being installed and the handicap rails were being put in bathrooms and restaurants. Those were there to help people get a ramp up, have a handle to get up. Those were things to help people do life with their disability. So one of the great things about being a part of this now is we're figuring out ways to help people with dementia continue life. They can do life with dementia. It's a disability. It's brain failure. It's not the be-all, end-all for the moment. It can last, 10 months to 10 years. But if you get educated and if you learn a few things about interacting with a loved one and how to do that, there is life and beauty in this journey. And they can do life in a restaurant. They can come to Rotary. They can go to church. There is life if your community embraces it and understands it. So my hope for Dothan is that we get on board with this because our numbers are going to get larger. And that shouldn't scare us. It should just mobilize us to just get ready, to just love them and accept them and help them find a ramp to a life. We tell our caregivers when they drop them off, I'm sorry, but they won't remember what they did here today. They're not going to remember to tell you in the car exactly what happened, but they do remember love. They remember they had a good time with us. They remember they want to come back and they don't know why. So there's a lot behind that. For those of you who have a loved one that is struggling, that positive approach to care, which is what I got certified with Tipa Snow to teach that approach, that positive memory, when you get into the positive emotional memory banks, when you're creating good feelings around them constantly, you can do life a lot better with them than when you're creating frustration with arguing. Because those emotional memories, whether they're positive or negative, they stick. So if we can get you out of here, out of that negative space, and get you into that positive space, you can do life. You really can do life. We'll have a caregiver drop off their loved one in the morning and they're mad at each other. Things have not gone well for the morning and they're mad at each other. And then they'll get out of the car and they'll come in with us at Respite here and they'll have a blast and we'll play balloon volleyball like you saw, and they'll snap out of it. But sometimes I can take them back to the car to the caregiver, and the moment they see them, they remember they're mad. And it happens that fast, but it's that negative emotional memory. They can hang on to that. They can't remember what they had for lunch. They can't remember their name sometimes, but they remember how you make them feel. And that stays for a little while. So why not make them feel good? Make them feel good all day, all the time. It's hard to argue with someone when they tell you that everything you do is right. And if they're smiling at you all day, it's hard to get mad at that person. So that's what we do at Respite Care. It is by no accident that it's a happy place. It is carefully planned. They are trained to smile until their cheeks hurt. And so I tell them, like, if you're not feeling it today, you better fake it until you make it, because we're going to be happy in here today. And we're doing that. And that's what we're going to hand over to the caregiver, is a happy loved one. A lot of times they'll get an extra hour of rest because they're tired with us, and they'll go home and take a nap. Or they're just in a good mood from being around people. It's good to be around people. It matters to be around people. Checking my time. One of the things we do at Respite is a family style lunch. So I love that y'all are at round tables together in community. This is just like it is at Respite Care. We do round tables and we sit together in community. The caregiver will tell me they eat lunch for you, but they never eat for me. Why is that? And I say, well, tell me how it works at home. What do you do with them when you're about to eat lunch? And she'll say, well, I get their lunch and I put it at the table and get everything ready. And then I sit them at the table and then I go do some work in the house. I've got some laundry to do. I've got to fix some things up in the house. And then I'll come back and they haven't eaten a thing. And so then I tell them they need you to sit with them. They need someone to show them visually how to get started. Because with dementia, you can't get started, you can't sequence, and you can't finish. So you need someone always to get you started. Somebody to help you sequence, how to figure out how to use that fork and knife. And somebody to help you know it's time to be finished. Let's clean up our dishes. That's so good for someone with dementia to have someone to guide them visually through that. And that's what lunch is for us. They see us eating. They know exactly what to do because we're all eating together. And so that prompts them to eat a good meal. One of the other things we do is we have a black plate. We have a black plastic plate. So if you have a white sandwich or potatoes or rice or anything that's white on those plates, it pops. Anything pops on a black plate. It's proven visually, if they can see it, which vision is affected with dementia, if you help them see it, they will eat it. We also won't give them a clear cup with ice and water in it. We give them a bright colored cup, lime green, hot pink, bright colored cup. It's proven, hydration is an issue with people with dementia. It's hard to get them hydrated. If you can see your drink, you'll drink it. So all these things are so helpful, helping someone help navigate life with their loved one. If you can just help them through these beginning hurdles, it's a game changer for them. Knowledge is power in the journey with dementia. I wish I would have known now, then what I know now with my dad. He would have loved respite care. I didn't know any of this then. I just know that he needed some help and we needed some help. And when we looked up, we couldn't find any. So hopefully going forward, we can take, what my experience going forward and hopefully we all can learn from it, that we can do more. We need more. And we certainly have this community here that really can and wants to do more. Any questions so far?
Okay.
Yes.
Tell everybody who your dad was so that people may remember.
Earl Lang was my dad, and he worked with AGF Birds and Sons a long time ago. So yeah, he was large and in charge. I mean, he was a big man. He's 6'2", and he just was hard. Some of the men who are used to driving and kind of used to doing things their way. It's hard for the wives to redirect them. And so I just knew we needed some help with all of that. I think with some of this positive approach to care, I think we could have done a lot better, but we just didn't know then. One of the ways I found out about the positive approach to care is with Dad. He was aggressive. And so we had put him in several care facilities, and he would hit the nurse between the eyes. Like, we'd gone through 3 of them, and he would just like, I'm out of here. And so finally I went to Justin and went to a place there, and I said, okay, what happens when he hits the nurse? Like, how quickly do I have to pack my bags? And they said, you know what? We don't do that here. We find out why he hit the nurse, we find the trigger, and we remove it. And that was the first I had ever heard of that. And it really got me thinking, okay, what are we doing wrong here? So then I thought Destin was too far away. And so I had, through a friend in Sunday school class, she had said, I want you to check out Henry County Health and Rehab. I think, she said, I do work in there. I want you to check it out. I think they do this philosophy you're talking about. So we went there, and through the whole process, I said, okay, what happens now when Dad hits the nurse? How quickly do you have to pack? And she said, you know, we just find out why he hit the nurse. We find the trigger and we remove it. And he was there for 6 years. Not one nurse was hit between the eyes. He was so happy. They had 3 meals a day. My mom did not cook, and so we laughed a little bit like that, because they're like, well, he's hungry. He's just mad because he's hungry right now. But he had 3 square meals a day there, and for 6 years he never, that approach works. So that's what we do at Respite here. I got trained in that approach. I've trained all of our volunteers in that approach. You have tentacles of volunteers out in this community that all know how to do this. They all know how to tell their friends about it. So that is something that's very important for our community, to be able to tell people who are in this situation how to navigate it, because you can. There is way, there's life and hope. And it does appear hopeless in the beginning. Thanks, Chris. That was a good question. I'd love to talk about that. Any other questions? Okay.
What would you say to a caregiver who says they don't feel they can leave the dementia person with y'all? Maybe it wouldn't be safe or whatnot.
So I hear that all the time. It is so hard to get people in the door at Respite Care. A lot of caregivers say, we're not ready for that, or I can't leave them yet. I always say, if you will just get them in the door, we will do the rest. If you can just get them here, we will do the rest. And we do. When the volunteers do their thing, it is magical. Once they swoop them in and they get them engaged and start doing all the things that are planned for the day, I have rarely had any that would not stay. The ones who will not stay typically is if they've waited so long and they are so far in the disease that they really need skilled care. I say bring them the earlier the better. The sooner they learn to trust us and they learn that it's a safe place, and the sooner they get in a routine, the better it is for the caregiver as dementia develops, as the progression happens, and it does, it gets worse. They're already in our program. They already have a network of support around them. They're already in a routine. It's a game changer for those who get in the program and enjoy the benefits of the entire program. So I just say, just get them in the door. Just try it. I do tell the caregivers who have one that's kind of going to give them grief about coming. Some of the men will say, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing those games. Or I just say, tell them we're going to go try out a program at church. I've heard good things about it. Let's just go try it. And if we don't like it, we don't have to go back. Give them the control, give them the power, let them know it is nothing you're making them do. They can stay if they want, and they can leave if they want. It works every time. Like, seriously, it works every time. Any other questions?
Katie, does the respite 4 hours a week, does that help? I mean, I understand the attitude and the memory of never bad thoughts, but does it slow it down at all? And then do you also then recommend to the caregiver to do mental exercises or whatever similar to that during the course of the week or durations of time that they don't attend?
That's a great question. Okay, so again, when I say this, I always, I don't want to get myself in trouble and say that I know everything, because I don't. But I know what I see, I know what I've seen for 6 years, and that for our participants, community is better than medication for them. Some of them take medication, some of them don't. But what community does for their well-being, you can't put that in a pill form. Does that make sense? I'm not saying for them not to take their medication, but I'm saying the addition of this is what community does for them as far as feeling like they have a reason to get up, something to do during the day, someone who listens with them, someone who eats lunch with them. Community is better than anything else we can do for them. We cannot find a cure for Alzheimer's. There is not one survivor yet, but we do have the cure for loneliness. And isolation and loneliness, to me, and for what I have experienced, have been the worst part of dementia. It causes the fastest downward spiral. We saw that in the pandemic, when you're isolated and away from community, how bad it can be for those of us who don't have dementia. But you can imagine for the ones who have dementia, how bad isolation is. So everything we do there, Jen, I give the caregivers everything we have, and I give them access to everything we do and send it home with them. And if there's a game that they particularly like, I'll say, if he really engages with this, you may want to try this at home. They have access to whatever I can give them, whatever we have. We give them, especially if we have a long break during 4th of July or Christmas. Part of the Mama Howell's House, the Dementia Care Center that we're doing across the street, will have a resource checkout library for them to come and check out whatever they need. We'll have the Respite shop in there. They make amazing things, all sorts of things with their own beautiful hands that people in this community love. It has a tag on it that says these things were made by a participant of the Respite Care Ministry for families living with memory loss. So we don't really have a good place to display all those items. They like to make purposeful things. They like that we have a shop. They like that they're working in our shop. So that's another thing that, we'll have, the caregivers will have access to all of our resources in the caregiver center across the street. And they'll have access to our volunteers and to someone who can help them during the day while we're in respite care. That's the sad part right now, is during the day while respite care is running, I'm usually in it, or Judy Kelly, or one of our assistants is there, and they want to talk to us and they need us, or the volunteers, and we're in respite care. So this will allow a place to be open during the day where they can come in and talk, get resources, get additional guidance. They can have an outing with their loved one. There'll be things that are interactive in there that they can interact with their loved one if they want to bring them by for an outing and they're not enrolled in our program. So the options are endless. Like, you can see the need is, we could just, there's so many things we could be doing in our community. We are just getting the tip of the iceberg, and it's so exciting to be on the forefront of this. Like I said, I was the 4th. Now they're 23. So there is something to this volunteer model. It's all volunteer led with 2 staff members. And typically, if you're in a skilled care setting, you'll have 14 or so with dementia, and 2 or 3 certified nursing assistants. And we're one-on-one, and they're not paid caregivers. They are volunteers who want to be there, have lived this, or have had a loved one who has lived this, or they just have a heart for it. So it is a pretty special recipe. I cannot say enough about it. If you want to get up with me, my email is on the sheet. If you have any questions about volunteering, if you want to, if you need to know more for a loved one, don't hesitate to call me. I have loved being here with y'all. Is there anything else? Any other questions? I always tell our volunteers to talk slow because they process slower. But when I have so much to tell you about respite, I always speed it up because I have so much to tell you. So But I thank you for having me. I loved being here and loved being here in this place where my dad enjoyed it so much. And thank you for what you do in our community.
Katie, thank you for what you do. It's obvious it's a passion of yours. Thank you. We have a board meeting following our meeting here. I'd like to thank our guests for being with us. Don't think there's anything else. Let's stand and recite the four-way test. Are the things we think, say, or do
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?